in Ukraine border, of course, there are also militants who have over time been making different demands of Ukraine, especially those who are pro-Russian. Some of them are like, we are not Ukrainians. Give us our own independent state. We don't want to be a part of Ukraine. And Ukraine is like saying, no, 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 you are Ukraine by force, by fire. We cannot give you independence. We cannot give you independence. You are a part of Ukraine. Hey guys, welcome to a new video. It's Oka Abiokoro, aka Udella Talks. And today we are still discussing the Ukraine-Russian crisis. Like I told you in the last video that this is a very wide topic. You have never understood anything that has been happening in the international system. I want you to understand this one. Trying to see how I can break everything and bring it to the level that even a layman can understand, a doctor can understand it, a farmer can understand it, a teacher can understand it, even a pastor can as well understand it. Today we'll be talking about a brief history of Ukraine. Because for you to understand this conflict, you need to understand the relationship between these two countries. I'm talking about Ukraine and Russia. First, why Ukraine is of strategic interest to Russia. Why Russia cannot leave Ukraine alone. All right. And secondly, the territorial conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Now let's look at a brief history of Ukraine, right? Ukraine gained independence in August 1991, yeah, and before that time, it was formerly a part of the USSR. In fact, permit me to say that Ukraine existed before Russia because it was one of the founding fathers of the USSR, of which Russia was the dominant force. All right, so Ukraine and Russia were one people. It shares some similarities in culture. Sometimes it will actually take an expert to be able to tell who is Ukrainian and who is Russian, because they are like brothers. That is why it's actually quite understandable that Russians are against this invasion now, because they feel like, okay, Ukrainians are our brothers and whatever affects them affect us. We don't see any reason why we should be attacking our brothers. Now I'm talking about the Russian people, not the Russian state. If you watched my last video, you would see where I talked about the Russian people protesting against Putin, invading Ukraine. They wrote a lot of emotional things. It just goes a long way to tell you how very close the Russian people are with Ukraine, and it is probably you can tie that to the fact that they are formally together before Ukraine became independent. They were formerly the USSR. They were like brothers. So sometimes it's really difficult for you to tell who is Ukrainian and who is Russian, except of course when you start talking politics. When you start talking politics, that's when you'll be able to, okay, this person is Russian or this person is Ukraine. Otherwise, and except maybe you are an expat, but if you are a foreigner and you go to Ukraine and then you see this, Russians and Ukraine, there is very few difference. You can hardly tell the difference. That is how connected, that is how similar, that is how culturally and socially affiliated these people are. Get the drift, please. Ukraine was formerly in Soviet Union with Russia. These guys were living together. They were doing everything together. They fought together. They were one under the USSR. Now, when the USSR fell apart and Ukraine broke away from the USSR and became an independent state, they tried to frown at what they considered as Russia imposing their culture on them. Personal opinion, I don't think that's the case. I mean, if you look at Ukrainian history, you see that these people, they've had long history with Russians long before they gained independence, right? To say that under the USSR, long before they gained independence. And so the Russian culture had already become a part of them. Some Ukrainians were actually born into the Russian culture. So they don't know any other culture except the Russian culture. So all of a sudden, you're trying to westernize these people so easily. It can't work. It can't work that easily. You know why? Culture takes time to evolve. For you to wake up one day and say that you can no longer find masquerade in Igbo land because of westernization, it's gonna take time. It can't just happen overnight. So for you trying to westernize these, Ukrainians who have been used to the Russian culture because of their history in the past, it's going to take time. It's like Ukraine fighting the Russian culture, and that cannot be easy because Ukraine is a young country. Now that is where the West comes into play. The West is supplying Ukraine with all the ideological, motivation and assistance they need. My question is this: the same Ukraine that is rejecting the Russian culture is kind of falling into the arms of Westernization. They are rejecting Russian culture not because they want to be them, not because they want to be Ukrainians, have an identity as Ukraine, as a sovereign nation, but they are aligning to the West. We are rejecting Russification, and then we are welcoming Westernization. Does that really make sense? I mean, I feel like that's like jumping from fire pan to fire. About the territorial conflict between Russia, they also share borders. All right, Ukraine is very close to the Russian territory. In fact, from Kiev, which is the Ukraine's capital, to Moscow, which is the Russian capital, it's less than like 3 hours. If you go by train, it's less than 3 hours. That's how close the location is. All right, the eastern part of Ukraine borders with Russia, and this eastern part, it's the Donetsk and the Luhansk. I don't know if I got the pronunciation correctly, but yeah, whatever. Right. They are collectively known as the Donbass. Donbass. That sounds weird. Donbass. Like it's ass. And of course, the Ukraine, what is it called? Crimea Peninsula, which of course has been annexed by Russia. So when I say the Donbass region, just know I'm talking about the eastern part of Ukraine, that is the border with Russia. And of course, it is expected, right? In every border situation of any country, you always find people from, the different countries. They interact, they mingle, they relate. For example, if you go to Nigerian borders, the Benin Republic, the Niger Republic, the borders with Cameroon, you will see some Nigerians there. You also see Cameroonians. So it's normal. It's normal to find these two people in these borders. So in this Donbass region, the eastern region of Ukraine, after Ukraine, the second largest ethnic group in that region is Russia. In fact, there are more Russian-speaking people in this region than in any other place. In any border region, there are always, armed people or armed groups with various, interests. Some people could be seeking for, political interest. It could be, what is it called? It could be economic interest. It could even be independence. Some of these armed groups, of course, have different things, different interests that are, as it is common in border issues. There will always be some group of people who are seeking for one interest or another. And now in this region, Ukraine is not exempted. In this Donbass region, there are of course some people, armed group of people who are seeking for different things. And even though Russia is denying it, like Russia would deny it in the television that it is not supplying arms to any of these groups, but definitely we know the story. If it is in line with Russia's national interest, Russia can support some of this group to carry out any of their motives as far as it is in line with Russia's interest. Of course, it is normal. Like I said in the previous video, national interest is paramount. It is what determines how a nation acts, what a nation does, and all of that, and how a nation behaves in the international arena. Okay, so these groups from these border regions, some of them are pro-Russian. Do you understand? When I say pro-Russian, I mean they are Russian supporters. For example, let's assume that Biafra has gotten independence. It is now independent from Nigeria. This is an example, remember. And some part of Biafra territorially, Biafra should include some part of Cross River, Port Harcourt, Delta, Niger Delta region, right? And these Delta people, they're like, no, we are not Igbos. We are not Igbo, but your name is Ebere Chukwu. They're like, no, we are not Igbo. We are Delta Igbo. Hello? Please, what's the color of your problem? A section of this Biafran territory are like, we are not Biafrans. Let us go. We want our own independence. Some of them can even say, give us our own independence. We are neither Nigerians, we are neither Biafrans. We want our own independence. Now, for the people that say we are Nigerians, now definitely Nigeria will be inclined to, work with them if it favors her national interest. The same thing is what happened, or the same thing was what happened in Ukraine. This eastern region of Ukraine said, no, we are not Ukrainians, we are Russians. And some of them are like, give us our own independent state. Some are like, we are Russians. So normally Russia will want to work with them, especially if it is in line with her national interest. Any country would do that, right? Even you understand. So these are the issues, the border issues. I don't know if you understand. And now, because they are in one country, and some people are supporting Russia, some Ukrainians, especially this eastern Ukraine, are pro-Russians, and the rest of the Ukraine are anti-Russian. That is, people who are for Russians and people who are against Russians. Do you understand? So this has, of course, caused this seemingly unending friction between them. So these Ukrainians who were pro-West were now seeing this, the Donbas region as rebels, as people who were undermining their sovereignty. They are Ukrainians by territory, but by choice, they want to be Russians. And Ukraine is saying, no, we can't let you go. And the Donbas region is saying, no, we don't want to be Ukrainians. Let us go. Give us our independence. Do you understand? And because of that, it has created, internal conflict in Ukraine. So in our next video, we'll be looking at the conflict proper. We'll be looking at the conflict proper, the causes of the conflict, and probably the aftermath of the conflict. So please, you don't want to miss that episode. Like I said, I'm doing this video in series because one video cannot cover everything that you need to know in this Russian-Ukraine crisis. So please, we will be posting new videos concerning this series Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we will be dropping new videos on this subject matter. We're discussing the conflict proper. I've given you a background, a build-up of what happened to bring about this conflict. So in the next, we'll be talking about the conflict proper, how it started, why Russia attacked Ukraine, and some of the causes of the conflict. So you don't want to go nowhere. Please subscribe to this channel if you've already done that. Give this video a thumbs up. Share, like this video. Let's reach more audience and bring more people to this our history class. All right. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here. See you in my next video. Bye.